And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we are talking about today's game, the Giants versus the Commanders game day preview. Just really looking so far, you see on the left the final game injury report. And I'm just going to be going over some keys for the Washington Commanders in this particular game. And then I'm going to go ahead and give my prediction. So coming into this game, obviously you see that the quarterback situation, I think that is going to be a key to the game on both sides. You're looking at what Jaden Daniels was able to do last week, 184 yards. You have Daniel Jones, 186 yards and 2 INTs. And so, starting with Jaden Daniels, I think that it's going to be critical for him now to be able to go down the field. I think that you're going to see the Giants run a lot more zone. I talked about this a couple days ago, that they are not as blitz heavy as they have been in the prior season. So that suggests that there is going to be some time for Jaden Daniels to go ahead and go down the field. Now, Jaden Daniels does have a couple of linemen that are banged up, so that could be a factor because now the Giants could get a natural pass rush there, which we know Jaden Daniels can make plays with his feet. But I think for this Washington Commanders offense to take another step, and really for this team to take another step, he is going to have to find some receivers down the field. On the other side of this thing, looking at Daniel Jones, he had a terrible first game, and there's a ton of pressure on him. He just signed the recent contract extension. They did go out and they got him Malik Neighbors. They didn't go out and draft another quarterback, which a lot of people thought that they were going to do in the draft. But only 186 yards. He had 0 touchdowns, 2 INTs. And then after the game, when Malik Neighbors was asked about it, he was just saying, look, I'm just out here. I'm doing my job. He did have 66 yards, led the Giants in receiving on 5 receptions. He was on the injury report. He's off. It was just maybe a little bit of a precaution with a little bit of a knee. But it looks like he is good and ready to roll. So next, we're talking about the running back or the running plays for both teams, and starting with Jaden Daniels. I mean, he obviously was the best runner. He was at the running back. Dan Quinn talked about this earlier in the week where he said, look, a lot of this stuff was not design runs. We didn't have it scripted to where Jaden Daniels was going to take off like this, but he did produce points. He got 2 touchdowns, 5.5 average, which is very good. You never want to see your quarterback be your main running back. And so now, with Washington, it is, can Austin Eckler, can Brian Robinson, can those players find some room against the Giants, who are not going to be blitzing? So that means that once they get out of that first initial front of the Giants, then they have a chance to try to get a little bit one-on-one and try to make some plays in the secondary here. So I'm hoping to see that the Washington Commanders can open up some running lanes. And with Devin Singletary, it's going to be tough for him. I mean, obviously, he's not Saquon Barkley, 3.7 average in week 1, only 10 rushes. And so I'd have to think that they are going to try the Washington Commanders a little bit more, who gave up over 100 yards to 2 running backs. And so that is going to be critical. And then when we look at the receiving, Austin Eckler led us in receiving yards with 52 on 4 receptions. And I think the key for us is, can we get Terry McLaurin involved? I think he's going to have to be critical. Zach Ertz, Luke McCaffrey, like these are some players that I think that Jaden Daniels is going to have to get the football to. And even John Bates as well. I think that he's another player that could certainly open it up for us and be more than a blocker. With the Giants, you want to see, can Malik Neighbors be that guy? I don't think that they've had a 1,000-yard receiver, in fact, since Odell Beckham. So, I mean, that is going to be something to watch for the Giants. And it's, can they get onto that type of rapport between Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors? And so now I want to go into breaking into some of the key matchups that I think are going to be really looked at in this particular contest. And I talked about it with Terry McLaurin, but the New York Giants, they have Deonte Banks as well. Coming over, there's a player that we could have had in the 2023 draft, at pick number 16, but we went with Emmanuel Forbes Jr. He's obviously off to a 2-0 start against us, beating us last season. And so, it's going to be interesting here because look, when McLaurin went against him in week 11 in that loss, he only had 5 catches for 43 yards. And this cannot happen for Terry McLaurin. He has got to be a bit more explosive for us and be a huge playmaker. And I think that he is going to have a chance now once he gets that kind of continuity and kind of rapport with Jaden Daniels. I think that he can definitely take off in this offense, but it's just going to be a matter of getting him the football. So I think that that is a key matchup to look out for, and that is, can Terry McLaurin win down the field against this secondary of the Giants that gave up 28 points. Now, as far as predictions, this is where it gets a bit interesting for me because, look, as bad as Daniel Jones has been, right? He is actually pretty good against the Commanders. In fact, he is 5-1 when it comes down to it. 5-1-1, excuse me, with 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in 7 career games against the Washington Commanders. And look, man, this is where it is like he is just electric when he goes against the Commanders, and he's not very good against the rest of the rest of the league. And so, the Commanders have got to figure this thing out. They cannot let Daniel Jones get comfortable in the pocket. They've got to continue to show him different looks up front. And I'm hoping that if they can't get any natural pressure, Dan Quinn is able to dial up some blitzes that get him uncomfortable, right? Because I think that the Commanders' defense, at least their front four and their linebacking crew, I think that they have enough to really shut down that running game and make the Giants one-dimensional. And if they're one-dimensional, even though Daniel Jones has had some success here, this is where the Washington Commanders have got to figure him out at some point, and they've got to slow down Daniel Jones. I don't know what it is about him facing us, but he seems to have just a level of comfort against us. And so, this would be disappointing if the Giants were to get this win, considering that they're ranked 32 out of 32 as far as points scored after week 1 with just 6. The Washington Commanders coming in 17th out of 32 with 20 points. And I've said it before, I think if you could score anywhere from 24 to 27 points a game, I think that you can win a lot of ball games, counting that you can stop teams. The Washington Commanders were the next to last team as far as giving up the most amount of points in week 1 at 37. The Giants were a little bit better, 23rd out of 32nd, giving up 28 points in week 1. So something has got to give, but I like the Commanders to win this game. I'm liking them to win this 24-14. I think the Washington Commanders get their first win under Dan Quinn at home. Come on, Commanders, get it done. All right, so with that being said, that is today's show. Make sure you enjoy the game out there and enjoy the rest of NFL Sunday today. All right, this is Rico, and this is Washington Commanders Insider. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.